Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Santa. Today we're going to prepare for you a beef and pork ragu, as known in other circles, Sunday gravy. But we're not making Sunday gravy because we all know what gravy's for. Gravy's for Thanksgiving and other things. But we're making a beef and pork ragu. And I'm going to prepare for you a braciole. I'm going to show you how I roll the braciole. And I also have the pork, which I blanched in water before the show started, and I'm going to add that to the ragu. So let's get started with the braciole. So first off, what we're going to do is I'm going to chop, and this is the parsley that I was showing you in my first episode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this parsley very fine. And as you can see, it's been frozen, but it looks fresh. And I'm going to spread some of this on here. Okay. Then in here I have pecorino romano cheese and breadcrumbs. These can be pre-seasoned breadcrumbs if you like. And I'm just going to toss it with the pecorino romano cheese. Alrighty. And I also have the garlic, which I'm going to chop. I'm going to finely chop this now. And this was 2 cloves of garlic for these 2 bracioles. Okay, so I'm going to put some garlic on it. Like that. Okay. And I didn't put salt in the breadcrumbs, and because it already has the pecorino romano cheese, so we don't want to over salt. I'm just going to put a tiny pinch here like this on the meat. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little bit of, just a couple turns of pepper. And I'm just going to sprinkle the breadcrumb. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to roll them for you this way. So you're going to bring it in as tight as you can, and you're going to roll it. And I'm going to tie each one with 2 strings because these are little. I'm making a smaller portion of ragu sauce today, just to give you the method. Now, don't forget, these things that I cook, the ragu, the sauce, like on my last video, the eggplant can be frozen to use at another time. Okay, so you can make extra sauce, you can make extra eggplant in my other video, freeze it, and then take it out and use it another time. If you want to use it during the week for dinner, it's all up to you. Okay, let's get this up. Okay, so now the bracioles are ready, and what we're going to do next is we're going to prepare the sauce. Okay, so now that I prepared the braciole, we're now ready to assemble the sauce. And so I'm going to chop an onion. Let's go from here. we're going to finely chop the onion. And so we finally chop the onion because we don't want the presence of the onion in the sauce. And this is a half an onion, small onion. And I'm going to put the heat on the pan, a low heat. All right, so I have it on a low heat. And I'm going to put the onion in first. And I'm going to give it a little saute. Like that. Now we don't want to burn the onion, we don't want to burn the garlic. Very important. It will give it a bit of, it will just alter the whole taste. So here we go. And in here, I'm going to put my braciole. And I'm going to raise the heat just a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to brown the braciole in the onion. Now while that's browning, this onion's going to cook a little. And let's talk about the pork. So the pork, what I did with the pork was that I blanched it. And this is a method that in Oriental pork or whatever, they blanch it first to take away the residual fats. And what it does is it tenderizes the meat so that when you have it in the sauce, and it's simmering and cooking, it gets very, very moist, comes away from the bone. And I also did that with the sausage. So I only do that with pork. That's how I prepare the pork for the ragu. So we're using braciole and baby back ribs and Italian sausages. I'm going to come back here, and as you can see, this, we just don't want to burn the garlic, the onion, I'm sorry. And we're going to just want to brown it, like that. And you can add just a little bit of salt, just a little bit. It's called layering the flavors. You can do that. And let's just brown this a little bit more. Just keeping in mind that the onion doesn't get brown. The aroma of the onion is just spectacular today. And the extra virgin olive oil. Always use extra virgin olive oil when you're making your ragus, your sauces. You always want to give it that delicious olive oil. And plus olive oil is better for your health. I don't use peanut oil, I don't use corn oil, always extra virgin oil when I make my sauce. Alright, so we have these browned a little. Let's see. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of water, like that. And what this is going to do is it sort of melts the onion. This was a method that my father used. Okay, so what it does is you can see that the onion now is being melted and caramelized. You see that? Turn this over. Now I'm going to add my garlic. Now the garlic I'm not going to chop. I'm just putting it in like this. 1, 2, 3. I used 3 cloves here today. And we're just going to keep stirring this so that it gets. You're going to cook the onion and the garlic together just like that. Okay. Let's give it another turn on the, make sure that the onion, or rather the garlic, gets its, you render the flavor of the garlic also. Okay. Beautiful. All right. I think that's enough time on that because this is going to simmer. This sauce is going to simmer for about, I would say maybe an hour and a half, depending on the on your stove, on the sauce. But you're going to have to watch it. Now in here I'm going to add the sauce. Now the sauce, how I prepare the sauce. I use the plum tomatoes. I have 3 cans here of the plum tomatoes, which I did talk about in my last video about keeping it as fresh as possible. And what I use is plum tomatoes in their natural juices. So this is what I did here. I squeezed out the seeds and the water from the tomato. I put it in a food processor, and I blended it till we got this consistency of sauce. So I'm going to add the sauce into the meat. Just be careful when you do this. You don't want to, if you throw it in all at one time, you'll have a mess. So let's do it this way. It's much easier. Like I said, I have 3 cans, which I think is plenty. Let's put this, and then I'm going to put the rest in, like this. Okay? Now, I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to put now in my pork. We didn't saute the pork. We blanched it in water. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to raise the heat now, because we want to bring it to a simmer. So here I go with my pork. The flavor that you're going to get from the pork using this method is just spectacular. And remember what I said about preparing sauces, ragus, marinara sauces. We don't over season. Now I'm going to put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, my tomatoes do not have salt, so that's why I put 4 turns. We're going to taste it later, okay? And I'm going to put a pinch of oregano, like that. Okay, maybe a little bit more, tiny bit. I'm going to do like 3 or 4 turns of black pepper. And I'm going to put in the parsley just like that. Okay. And I'm going to turn it. Okay. And what we're going to do, there's no sugar in here. There's no, we're not adding tomato puree, tomato paste. We're not adding anything like that in here. This is pure tomato sauce. Simple, it's easy. You can make extra sauce, freeze it, take it out in the week. Make yourself a plate of pasta, put the sauce on it, okay? You can make, with this sauce, you can make, depending on how much you make now, you can make extra sauce sometimes and freeze it, if you want to make a lasagna maybe, or you just want to have some pasta in the week. You can make this without the meat, the same way I did this today, without the meat, okay? And you could omit the onion, I'm sorry. So, when you try this, it's just out of this world. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cover it. It's going to go on a very low simmer, okay? We're going to bring it up to the simmer, and then once it starts simmering, we're going to cover it, and we're going to leave it to cook for about an hour and a half. And then we'll come back and we'll prepare the pasta for you. Hi. So now our sauce has been simmering for 2 hours. And what we're going to do now, so our sauce is now ready, okay? And what we're going to do now is we're going to cook the pasta. I have 1 pound of ziti. This is the pasta I'm using today, the ziti. I'm going to put that into the water. Okay? And remember that we always salt the water pretty well. I'm going to give it a turn, a stir. And we're going to bring it back up to the boil. Okay? So just let this come back up to the boil. And now we're going to address the sauce. So I'm going to take out the meat from the sauce before we serve the pasta. The pasta's cooked, and we have our sausages here. I have my baby back ribs. Just let me take these out. Okay. Let's get this. Okay, so now I'm taking the bracioles out of the pan. Let's see if there's any more meat here. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of the parsley that I had put in there to simmer. Anything that's in there like that. Okay. So now I have my my bracioles. I'm going to remove the string. We have one. Two. Always remove the string. If you're going to use toothpicks, I like to use the string, but always remove it before you serve it on a platter. Okay. And now I'm going to get my sauce, my ladle, and I'm going to ladle the sauce, some sauce over the. Look at that. Over the meat. I wish you could smell this. It's just out of this world. Look at the sauce, how beautiful it came. Fresh. Not a lot of additives. So let's take out some more of this parsley. I'm going to stir the pasta a little more. You don't want it to stick. Another thing I've seen people do is they put oil in the water. We don't put oil in the water. There's no need for that. So what we're going to do is just make sure you stir it so that doesn't stick. And I just want to say another thing about the sauce. Now, if you wanted to before, you could have put in some basil in here if you wanted to, but I just like the taste of the parsley. And we simmered it for 2 hours. We adjusted the seasoning. So if you want more more salt, more pepper, you could do that. Okay, we don't put sugar. And that's what we did. And just remember to keep stirring it with a low heat. As it simmers, you're stirring it, and that will keep it just delicious. Hi, so now we have our pastas ready, and I like it al dente. Okay, so we're going to drain the pasta. So, here we have your sauce, your ragu of beef and pork, and I'm going to sauce on top. Look at that. The portion of tomato sauce, the 3 cans that I used, is just perfect. So now I'm going to serve a portion like that. Sauce on top. I mean, just look at this. It's just beautiful. We're going to put a little cheese. This is Pecorino Romano. Over here I have my sausages and the brajioles right here. There's your braciole. Okay, and there's the pork. These falling off the bone, if you can see that. Okay, I'll put some of this here. I'll put some of the sausage, piece of sausage, and we'll taste it for you. So here we go. That's Santa's sauce right there. So fresh. So delicious. I'm going to taste some of the pork for you. The meat just melts in your mouth. Okay, so I want you to try this. Let me know, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.